Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag. Yes, Monday morning, we got a lot of algo boostos in the house. Randy C. Johnny is no longer with us. He was a good soul, but he had to move on.
Whatever. I was just shutting off my AC. I was just shutting off my AC and didn't want everybody to watch me lean over here.
I thought you were resurrecting.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Easter was yesterday, and that wasn't me. So,
gotcha. Yes, a much better man than you, for sure.
And I don't know why I still got my caption from last time. I'm good to see that Hugh Wilkins is warming up to the idea of Shamar Stewart at number 11. I've actually been cooling a little bit. I was really high on him at 11 about a month ago. I haven't completely abandoned it, right? I'm just cooling a little bit, but I would still love him as the pick there at 11. So that's where I'm at.
All right. Well, we're going to get into some more drafts, are we not?
We are. We're going to be getting into some more mock drafts. You know, this is the last real Yahoo or I guess yeehaw for mock draft
about
season.
Neither. How about can I
Hey, look, I said what I said.
I don't think the chat needs all that.
Anyways, we're in draft week. I'm so excited for this week. It's going to be an incredibly full week for me. I've got like several things going on here with job, and also my daughters are full in the ball games, and we're doing this show. We're doing a show Friday, hopefully doing a live watch along with Dre on Thursday. I've also apparently committed. I'm double booked a little bit that night, so I'll have to kind of pop in and out with that. I'm with Rob Stats Guerrero. We're going Thursday afternoon. Might be doing a 32 content creator mock draft tomorrow night. Still trying to get the last few details on that put together. I'm not putting it together. I was invited, and I was very honored to be a part of that. If we can get that happen, I think that would be awesome. Super cool. But this is the biggest week of the off season, especially for 49ers. It's like, free agency was a week of departures. There wasn't a lot of acquisitions to talk about. We're about to make at least 11 picks, I think. I don't think they're going to trade away any picks in this draft to move up or anything. I think they're going to be trying to, if anything, they're going to be looking to add even more picks to this draft. So there's so many quality starters here. I mean, the only way I see them not picking 11, they have to pick up something else and move a couple of maybe these 6th rounders into 5th and 4th rounds. That's the only way I see them actually losing picks in this draft. But I mean, I think they want every last pick in this draft. But as we talked about, Adam, you were not able to join us on Friday, but we went through the first round and the potential trade partners, and I don't see a lot of trade partners there. I really see, maybe the Chargers there as a potential trade partner if they really like Tyler Booker, or one of the tackles. They need a lot of offensive line help. I mean, they just do. They need some help on that offensive line, and so they may be in play to move up. If Jackson Dart falls, maybe the Steelers want to move up, but it's just hard watching that board and saying, okay, there's going to be a quarterback that's taken before the chart or the Steelers are picking. So, it's just I think it's going to be hard for them to trade back. We'll see what happens. There's not a lot of options there, but we're going to run a bunch of different scenarios because there's a lot of different guys that have been buzzed in the buzz to the 49ers, from Will Johnson from Michigan to Jalen Walker from Georgia. We watched his tape. Kelvin Banks from Texas. We watched his tape. Michael Williams from Georgia. We watched his tape. Jotty Brown from Texas, Shamar Stewart, we've watched his tape. Mike Green, we've watched his tape. Walter Nolan, we've watched his tape from Mississippi there. James Pierce from Tennessee, we watched some of his tape. Even Tyler Warren there at Penn State at tight end has been looked at as possible a guy. Maybe Will Campbell. Again, I will be surprised if Will Campbell's actually there at 11, but we'll see. I think, all of those guys at some point has been rumored or linked to or talked about as who the 49ers could get. We're going to run a lot of these different scenarios because whoever you pick there at 11 really does kind of shape how the rest of the draft starts falling out. Shifty's asking if Shedeur is there at 11, does Pittsburgh move up? I don't think so, because if you look at who's there between Pittsburgh and the 49ers, I don't think anybody's there to pick up Shedeur. The only reason you would want to move up is if you think somebody else is going to leapfrog you. And I don't see that from Pittsburgh to the 49ers. Because again, if somebody's going to leapfrog you, you're looking at, maybe like the Rams, who kind of need that heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, and there's kind of some buzz that they're a little high on Jalen Milroe. You have to expect somebody's going to leapfrog you, and how much more is it going to cost them to move that far up? And are they going to do that at 11? I don't think so. They would want to wait until like 18, 19, 20 before the Steelers to leapfrog you. So, because otherwise the cost just gets cheaper, as it comes back, and nobody there is really a concern to pick Shedeur Sanders. So I just don't see that bidding war for that. The only way that happens is if, somebody gets a call at 16 and they say, hey, we want to move up, and it's a team that's going to look for a quarterback. And then, maybe the Saints pass on one in the first round and they're looking to jump back in. And then, so that team calls the Steelers. So then the Steelers called the next pick up, and they're looking to, and this process kind of happens. So, there's a lot of calls that would have to be made there. I just don't see it happening of them feeling the need at 11 to move up. I just don't see it there. I think with the way it could go, and I could be wrong on that, but I just think it's going to be real hard to find a seller or find a buyer for that number 11 pick. I think they would love to, but it's going to be hard to find a buyer. But other than that, I see, Adam, you're wearing your Star Wars shirt. Look at you go.
Rebel scum. I found it. I have a bunch of like t-shirts like this that are just attention getters. Great for a podcast. And I lost them for like 8 months, and I found like 17 of them. So my loss and potential gain is your gain in the world, therefore the world. So I'll start wearing them.
All right.
So, all right. We ready to shift gears to what's our focus? I know we've done like offensive line, defensive line, those types of things. So what's the move?
So the move here is going to be, we'll see how each scenario plays out. Some of them, I could say we're going to take Will Campbell here or Tyler Warren, but then they may not be available on this draft. Sure, we'll see how it goes. And then like, this is the question with Shedeur Sanders. In this mock draft, Shedeur is gone as the number 1 overall pick. So, what's happening here? Don't know. We're not taking that trade with the Falcons. We're not taking that trade from the Chargers. We're not taking that trade from the Raiders. So here we haven't mocked Jalen Walker to the 49ers yet. Will Johnson's there. I'm going to say let's go with Jalen Walker so that we do this edge first round. Mike Green was there. We've done Mike Green before, but there's just some questions there. He went to Tampa Bay in this one. And I'm really just not sold on Walter Nolan as the 11th overall pick. And every mock like that I'm seeing and things really slates him around the 24 to 38 range. I just don't see it happening there. Oh man, Gray Zabel got nabbed by the that's fascinating. That's picking up way too many draft picks that I want to do. By the Jets right before we're there. So in this one, if we go edge first, I would like to address the defensive line more, but Josh Connerly, I really did like him at the Senior Bowl. Now he got absolutely destroyed by Mike Green, but that was on one rep and it was very, very infamous now. But overall, I think his movement skills, everything, he fits what the 49ers do really, really well. I think as far as a scheme fit, he is a better scheme fit for me than Kelvin Banks. So I'm going to go offensive tackle there in the second round. Oladejo already went in the second round. That kid's draft stock has been flying up and it continues to rise. If you did mock drafts a month and a half ago, that kid was getting mocked in the 4th or 5th round. And now you have these that are slating him to in the second round and early half of the second round. So really, really fascinating there. Jaden Higgins just went off the board. Darius Alexander went off the board, literally the pick before the 49ers. Oh boy.
So
That's
Johnny,
rough.
I want to ask you on this, like, does it actually, we're doing a mock draft. I get it.
Right.
And you mentioned a certain player, like, oh, before he was looked at as this type of pick. Does the software really go off that? Or is this completely like, how does it know?
So what they do is that the guys who run this website, what they do is as time goes on, they start updating some of these rankings and they start updating their draft boards and they're going off of consensus. Like, so if there's more and more and plus it takes into account where people are picking these players as they're going through their mocks. So it's a very wide net they cast and they can see, okay, the majority of people who pick, when it's humans who pick, this is where they pick this guy. That's where they start slotting. And if people consistently start getting picked later or earlier, then you really do get a picture of where somebody is starting to fall. I do like Omar Norman Lott there, but I don't think he's going to bring quite the oomph in the run defense. And that absolutely has to be a focus here. So TJ Sanders from South Carolina, I think, is the guy. I think that one's that it doesn't take a lot to see that where it's going to be. He just really slots in there as you want. Cam Scattaboo just went off there. Isaiah Bond. Now that one hasn't been updated. Isaiah Bond was just drafted in the 3rd round. And I think we know Isaiah Bond, there is no way that he's on almost anybody's draft board right now. Somebody that has been creating a huge amount of buzz, and I did watch his tape, was really impressed, is wide receiver Kyle Williams from Washington State. So we're going to go ahead and pick him. So we've gone defense, offense here. Kyle Williams, I mean, gosh, he's so explosive with the ball in his hands. Steph was right. It didn't take long watching his tape to say, okay, there's somebody here that really, really like. Now here we're at 113. I really do like Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. I do like Jacob Parrish, though, corner from Kansas State. And that third corner is a question. And I think if you're going to get a third corner, this is kind of where you're going to fit in there. Let me just make sure who else is there. Because Jamari Caldwell's there, and we really do need another defensive tackle. And you guys know how much I loved Mari. So we're gonna go Mari. Again, we've gone defense, offense, defense, offense, defense. I think that's where it is. And there's enough edge guys here where Kyle Kennard is not the guy you got to pick. So Jared Ivey went off the board. I picked him last time. Cameron Jackson just went off the board. Defensive tackle, huge guy. Billy Bowman's off the board. Now the 49ers are back on the clock. We are here.
Going offense.
Here. I don't think I'm going to go offense here. I'm really looking to see where's, what are the edge players here? I like Savion Jones. I think he's very much Jared Ivey. I like Jaw Joyner. Looks like David Walker is already off the board. And you guys, I went over some of his film last time. I love me some David Walker. I think he's got some really high-end traits. Tyler Batty is somebody a lot of people like, but definitely not at this slot. I like Savion Jones. I think he, again, plays the run well. He's got a lot of upside as an edge player. So you've got two edges, two defensive tackles. You've bolstered that offensive line. You've brought in another weapon for when Brandon Ayuk is trying to kind of come back into his own. This is where things really get interesting. There's gonna be, you gotta fill that that Dre Greenlaw hole. Danny Stutzman, a lot of people are high on him. I think he would be a quality player. I think there's more upside with Jeffrey Bossa, and I think this is right around the time you're going to get him. He would make a ton of sense. I mean, it would be just a rerun of Dre Greenlaw, in my opinion. Ted Buchanan is there. A lot of people really like him, and the 49ers have met with him. So, that's there. I think they're going to end up going running back in this kind of range. So we'll see who's there. Not a lot. Devin Neal is a kid from Kansas that I think could fit well in this system. So we're going to go Devin Neal. I think it just makes sense. Don't overthink that one.
Right. It's not a bad draft.
That is not a bad draft so far. I mean,
seriously,
this when you get Jalen Walker, Josh Connerly, TJ Sanders, Kyle Williams, Jamari Caldwell, Savion Jones, Jeffrey Bossa, and Devin Neal so far. I mean, come on. I'm cool with that. And then we have this big gap, there at the between 160 and 227. I mean, we have a long gap there. That'll be really hard to watch on that third day as you're waiting for all the picks to go. And there's going to be like 15 guys that I really hope last, but it's going to be biting your nails every pick as that list starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
One by one. Yeah, one by one they fall off.
And going, please leave one of them, and then hope the 49ers grab that kid while it's there. Let's see. I want to see interior offensive line. I think he's already gone. Yeah, Jackson Slater's already gone, which I will say, if you didn't see it, Brad Graham had Jackson Slater on for an interview Friday, I think it was, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Love Jackson Slater as a prospect. I mean, the athleticism is just off the charts. The kid, his relative athletic score ranks something like 130th out of the last 30 years of interior offensive linemen. So out of something like 1,400 prospects, the last 30 years at interior offensive linemen, he's in the top like 8% of any prospects to come out the last 30 years. He's scored over 30 on the Wonderlic. He's did over 30 on the bench. I mean, just wildly athletic kid. Anyways, getting back on this one, I like the idea of Nick Nash. They've gone and they've met with him, but I think I'm going to grab Ted Buchanan because they've met with him, and I like D Winters, but we can't trust him to stay on the field, and so you really need to rejuvenate that linebacker core. I'm not sold on who they pretty much have Fred Warner and D Winters and maybe Curtis Robinson if he's coming back from an injury, if he's 100%. And that's about it for me. Jalen Graham, I'm not real big on. I think there's been too many question marks there. So just not somebody I'm seeing that really am excited about there. Here in late in the draft, I'm going to go ahead and Ahmed Hassanin is an interesting prospect. He's only played football for a few years. He came from Egypt. Super explosive athlete, super raw. So, but the 49ers have met with him. An interesting prospect. I'm going to go with him just based on that. I mean, I know that's picking 3 edge players, but the reason I did that is I was pretty sure Tim Smith was going to be here at the last pick. So Tim Smith is a big run plugging defensive tackle from Alabama. He doesn't bring much, if anything, to the pass rush situation. So let's see, we're gonna save this one, but he doesn't bring much to the pass rushing juice, but he brings a lot of run stuffing ability. So that's what you would need from somebody as a 7th round defensive tackle. You're not going to be looking for that premier pass rusher. You need somebody who can come in rotational and stop the run, get you to 3rd down. So so that's where it's at. I think, again, if the 49ers were able to make this draft, I'm as happy as can be. In the chat, give us a grade on this draft. If you were to say, okay, they go Jalen Walker, this is how I could see the draft kind of playing out. The only thing about this draft is that we've gone 2 edge players really at the beginning and the end that are very much developmental players that are going to be very much raw prospects, but have insane athletic measurables. So give us a I'm warming to the idea of Jalen Walker. My biggest thing is I just don't know how Saleh uses him, and I don't know if that's Saleh's way, but I think a player like that, you can figure it out, but that's just where I'm at with it. I think Jalen Walker, it might be, as far as defensive line, the best pure athlete in this draft. But he's still raw in a lot of that. That's where I'm at with that. There's a lot of players like that though, and
Right.
It's just not quite like this is absolutely like the guy. We'll pick up the speed on the next one, and we're not going to go edge on the next ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I do like that better than the very first one that we did was the highest one up to date. And so I give this one a minus. Shifty B plus. Randy loves it. Yeah, I think we're kind of in agreement. Dr.
All right.
Steve and
Let's
A.
roll it again. Here we go. We're rolling
Yep.
the dice again. Oh, Jalen Walker's off the board at 3. See, that's one reason I did that, is because that you don't know. I mean, last time Shedeur Sanders was number 1 overall. Jalen Walker was there at 11, and then now you're staring at Jalen Walker was off the board at like 3 or 4, and that is where we truly don't know about this draft. But I'm going to say Armand Membu is there from Mizzou. You take Armand Membu.
Yeah, we've talked about him. Yeah.
We've talked about him. I think there's enough other players in this draft. And so again, it just depends on how this shakes out. This first 10 picks in this draft are so unpredictable. We truly do not know how every team is going to slot people. But look at that. Gray Zabel again goes to the Jets right before the 49ers. So a lot of people are high on Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. I'm not quite as high on him as everybody else. That's not to say he's a bad player at all. I think he's a very good player. You'd get a very good quality player there, but here you've got to go either defensive tackle or defensive edge. And for me, everybody knows I love Darius Alexander. Love Darius Alexander. But I'm going to go Tyleik Williams. I'm going to shock the world and grab Tyleik Williams. I think it's just a little bit more of a certain pick. You're not guessing as much with him because he did play at Ohio State. You know the quality of competition he played with, and that will wait out just a little bit better.
It matters. It definitely matters.
Jonas Avenaya, they've got him listed as an interior offensive lineman. I think that absolutely is where he needs to be. I think he's definitely an interior guy. This one, I do really like Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, but I'm going to go Jack Beck. We picked him before, but I just love Jack Beck as a receiver. And again, I know we have so many holes on the defense, and now we're going offense, defense, offense. But I think here there's enough players on the defensive line and an edge that we can make this happen. Gosh, that'd feel like a reach from where this is to get David Walker, but I'm not sure he's going to be there at 113. But I'm gonna upset some people here. I'm gonna pick Deon Walker because he's a big man in the middle from Kentucky, 6'4", 340 pounds. Deon Walker there at defensive tackle. They need to fill that edge. He's still there. I'm picking David Walker out of Central Arkansas. So we've gone the Walker brothers back to back in these different ones. Walker is definitely, he's not as much of a home run pick, but he can plug the run. I think he's going to be a very good player. Just he has to develop correctly. Not necessarily right. He has to develop correctly for what he is. I do like Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech, and it would make a lot of sense to go back to defensive line again. Peebles, his movement skills remind me of DJ Jones. That's who Aeneas Peebles reminds me of. And I think he's going to be a very similar player to that. So, there it is. Jared Ivey from Mississippi is there. I do really like Jared Ivey. Jackson Slater is there, though. And I will say we need to rebuild the trenches. So we're going to continue on here. We're going to get Jackson Slater at 147. We're doing it. Jared Ivey's off the board now. But, again, I think that there's some players here. Like I said, I really like Jaw Joyner. Ryland, I do like. Tyler Batty is there. It's interesting that Tyrion Ingram Dawkins is listed as an edge player. He is not an edge player. He's listed as that, but I just don't see that there. I'm trying to see who all is here. I do like Malachi Moore from Alabama. Of course, I've gotten burned. I'm going to say we're going to go Trevor Etienne, running back from Georgia.
Okay. I like that.
Get that receiving running back, get somebody who can come in and do a lot there. So yeah. Strawberry does not like Deon Walker as a defensive tackle. I would say it goes back to the Senior Bowl, seeing him there, that he held down against the run really well, and his size is just really appealing. So, when you're that size, it is hard to move you out of the way. So, yep. Willie Lampkin's there, and a lot of people really like him. Of course, we went and got 2 offensive linemen already. I don't think we can go and get another one. We've already got a receiver. Ted Buchanan, there he is. Again, I don't know if he's going to fall that far. I think that would be a little surprising. And let's see, it's looking like Jalen Conyers. He's still there. The 49ers have met with him. A lot of people are high on him. So, he's a good tight end. I think he fits the 49ers identity well. So there we got Conyers. That one again makes a ton of sense. We picked Tim Smith last time. So, I feel like I can't grab him again. That feels kind of like cheating. So we've got to bring up something else here, but I'll go Warren Brinson. He's kind of like Tim Smith 2.0. I think he's an extremely he's a big run stuffing defensive tackle, very much on the vein of Tim Smith. So there's our second mock draft. Now we've gone edge first, we've gone tackle first with Membu, and you can see now how this does change everything and changes how it is. So give us a grade on this draft. How you feel about this draft there, Adam?
A little bit more on the same line as the very second one that we did, where I was like, not as good. At first, I was like, oh, it's good. And again, we've said this a million times. Like, there are so many freaking good prospects that it's not like this is going to be a D or a C. Like, these are all going to be A and B drafts, I feel like. So I'll give it a B. Let us know what you think in the chat. And also, this is your reminder to take your phone up to someone and show them the Johnny Dell Football channel if they are wearing Niner gear. You know what? At this point, even if they're not wearing, just be a weirdo. Even if they're not wearing Niner gear, how about you just do it anyway? Be that weird guy. Like, what? I'm not even a Niner fan. Oh, I don't care. Look at this. But yeah, I think this draft was good, because how could it not be? Look at some of these names.
Yeah, I mean, you come away with a draft in this where you get David Walker, Armand Membu, Tyleik Williams, Jack Beck, Aeneas Peebles,
Yeah.
Jackson Slater. I mean, just that right there. Even if you have questions about Deion Walker, you're going, okay, I can live with this draft. You get Jalen Conyers, Ted Buchanan, Trevor Etienne. Like, even if Warren Brinson doesn't make the roster, you're sitting there going, okay. The only thing we didn't address in this is corner. Who's going to be that third corner? That is a big question mark there. Now they have a couple guys on the team. They could go out and try and get a free agent. We'll see. So that's kind of where we're at on that one. Let's run it again, Adam. We're going to go interior defensive line on the next draft. So we're going to run at the same speed. And this time we're going to target interior defensive line with that number 11 pick. So we can, again, see how this starts to pan out. Jalen Walker's off there, and Armand Membu is off the board. So the two guys we picked in the last two drafts now on this run are gone early, and Abdul Carter lasted until the Bears. All right. So we're gonna target interior defense. I feel like I should pick Tyler Warren on this one. We should actually go tight end just so we can run the scenario, because he may not be available next time. So we're gonna go Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State, just to see how then this changes the draft, because now you have to go trenches the next 3 picks. You can't not go trenches the next 3 picks. So we have to go trenches. James Pierce is there. Josh Connerly's there, but James Pierce is there. Somebody who, I think that's a no-brainer at 43. I don't see him there at 43. When he's getting talked about at 11, no, but he's not going to make it that far. But if he's there and you've got Tyler Warren, you're grabbing him. So now we've got to stick with the trenches. We've got James Pierce. I love me some Femi Oladejo, and I have not been able to pick him for a long time. But I just picked an edge player. So I'm going to go with, I've struggled with where to exactly slot Joshua Farmer. I'm going to pick him here because I think he's the all-arounder defensive tackle. I've just struggled as where does Joshua, I feel like he could go anywhere from 65 to 100, or even like 115. I just don't know. He's a hard player to really truly slot. We've addressed defensive interior, defensive edge. We haven't touched the offensive line. Miles Frazier's there. I don't think he's going to go this early. But he's somebody that fits what the 49ers do, which is a big deal, to fit what the 49ers do. Norman Lott's there. I'm going to pick him. So, you're going to get Joshua Farmer and you're going to get Lott at 75 and 100, and you have rebuilt your interior defensive line. So there we're pretty much done with that. That makes a lot of sense there. I'm perfectly fine with that. Let's see, where's interior offensive line? Miles Frazier is there. I think this would make sense for him. So we're going to go get Miles Frazier, guard, who I think will immediately be able to come in and either step into that left guard role or compete for that left guard role. I think that one makes a ton of sense. He moves really well, and everything. So I think we're going to go get Dre Greenlaw's replacement with Danny Stutzman. I like Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma. He just runs down ball carriers. He's got a lot of good instincts. So that just makes a ton of sense there. As for what the 49ers do, a lot of people are really high on Jaden Blue for the 49ers. I am not in love with his pass pro. We're going to go with Kobe Bryant, corner. We didn't address it last time, but we're going to get that third corner this time. So, going tight end early, we have really leaned into defense the rest of this draft, which there's still a lot of good players later in this draft, when we lean into that. So that's fine. David Walker is there. We're going to go get another edge. And now we've got James Pierce and David Walker and Omar Norman Lott and Joshua Farmer. And you got Danny Stutzman. That defense has been rebuilt. It has been reborn, like the $6 million man. This will be the $6 million defense. Actually, it's a lot more than that. It's a whole lot more than that. But $600 million defense.
Yeah.
But to me, David Walker is such a player that you just cannot let him go past you. I understand you got Nick Bosa. You went and got James Pierce. You don't let David Walker go to another team if he's there. So Willie Lampkin is an interesting player. I think, he makes a lot of sense for the 49ers. I like it. Again, like his movement skills. Just making sure there's somebody else here that I don't think would go sooner. And we got to rebuild the trenches. I mean, yeah, we're going to go trench heavy on this. I think Willie Lampkin at that spot, I like it. I think he's somebody who can come in and, again, compete. Now you've got both Miles Frazier and Willie Lampkin. You've got a good rotation there. So makes a lot of sense. I think you've got to go. You got to pick up a running back here. I think they're not coming out of this class without some sort of running back. But who do you? What's hard is so many of these guys are just like pretty equal to me. There's not a lot of separation.
Who was the stiffest? Who was the stiffest competition based on the team that they're on? Then is what I would jump to.
I mean, you could pretty much. The hard part with like Khalil Mullings is that there was a lot of different guys carried the ball there. So it's really hard to say, okay, how does this guy, I don't know.
Does one
I
catch
just
it better? Does one catch it out of the backfield better?
I haven't dove that deep into it to really start, saying this guy is a better receiver than that guy. I'm going to go with Taj Brooks. I'm just going to grab him from Texas Tech. And then we're back on the board again. And who we got out here? We can go a bunch of different ways. Got our defensive tackles, got our edge players. Here's where you would look at like skill position player with upside. I'm going to go with Jordan Hancock, cornerback, because I think he can provide some special team stuff. I think that's where you're going to be at in the 7th round, is looking at who can go cover, be your gunners and stuff on special teams. So that's where we're going to be at on that. So here we are now. Give this what happened?
So what do you think of Dr. Steve says this is already a huge boom or bust draft?
This one to me, is a little bit more there's not as much like home run. We're certain on this. When you're getting a Miles Frazier isn't 100% a for sure prospect. Willie Lampkin definitely is not. There are some questions there, but I think like James Pierce, Farmer, Norman Lott, Stutzman, David Walker, I think that instantly changes your defensive line. So, I think you go this way, and Tyler Warren, and now you've really, I mean, you can run 2 tight end sets all day long. You can run 22 personnel, have Juszczyk out there, and only have 1 wide receiver, with that being Ricky Pearsall or Juwan Jennings, and you are just a juggernaut. And you still have tons of weapons for Brock Purdy. So, I like it. You could go at this. This is again, Mike. Again, this is just, we're forcing the thing there. People have been talking about Tyler Warren. So it's, how would this draft fall out if they go tight end at number 11? The previous, if you're coming in late, the previous mock drafts, we did Armand Membu at 11, and then we did Jalen Walker at 11. And so it's just looking at how this draft starts to shake out. So for you so far, which draft would you go with? The Jalen Walker, Armand Membu, or Tyler Warren draft? Put that in the chat real quick. And then this last one, we will force defensive tackle at 11.
Yeah, so far I like Membu. I like the Membu one, I think.
So far I like the Membu one. So yeah, I really like the Membu draft, because I think there's so much that is there possible with that draft. That one just really, I was like, dang, I mean, that is a good draft. Of course, the Jalen Walker draft, man, I really like that draft too. So there we go. Rolling it again. This one again, Abdul Carter fell. Membu's there. Tyler Warren is there. But we're going to go defensive tackle on this one. We're forcing the issue at defensive tackle. And for me, I'm going to go with Derek Harmon at number 11. I think if we're going defensive tackle at 11, for me, that's the guy. That's who I have at 11. If we're going defensive tackle, I'm not sold that is the way to go. But Gray Zabel again to the Jets. This is wild with the amount of different.
Well, now he's going there. He's obviously.
I mean, that's just been like, that's just where it is.
The Jets need 30 draft picks. Can they get 30? Is that a possibility this year for the Jets?
Yeah. So you pick defensive tackle. For me, I'm now on this one. I'm going to go for Carson Schweschinger. Get your linebacker. You bolstered that interior. Now we saw what happened when Dre Greenlaw was out, and you had Devondre Campbell in there. You got to have some juice at the linebacker position. Carson Schweschinger makes a ton of sense. I do like him. I don't think he's the most athletic linebacker in this draft, but he brings a lot of he's very headsy. He's a very, very smart linebacker. This one, I'm probably going to get some pushback in here, but I'm going to go Jalen Noel from Iowa State. He's not the Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins is amazing, but Jalen Noel was almost as impressive. He was super impressive on their tape. We're going to bring in another weapon for Brock Purdy. We've gone defensive line. We've gone linebacker. We're going to turn to the offensive side of the ball. We're going to get a skill position player. So now we're going to come back, and a lot of people like Charles Grant from William and Mary as a defensive tackle. Or excuse me, why did I say defensive tackle? I meant as an interior offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I don't have enough coffee.
Well, it's all running together.
Mm-hmm.
8 drafts.
Yep.
We're not going to know.
We've got to rebuild that defensive line. So there's Omar Norman-Lott again. He's going to be there. That's around his draft slot. Makes a lot of sense. Now we've got to add an edge player. I mean, this is a draft. There's going to be some there. You got to go fill that there. There's Kyle Kennard. I've talked about him several times. Like him. I think he'd instantly be a starter on this defensive as an edge for us. Makes a ton of sense. And edge players for me, where a lot of these guys are going to go, where you're going to see a lot of talent, is in this 75 to 125 range, maybe 150. And so Jared Ivey's there. I really like Jared Ivey. And I've talked about this. Ivey and Jones are the same player for me. Like, these are literally the same guys. They're built almost identically. Their measurables are very, very close. So I'm going Jared Ivey. We're going to double dip on edge, one right after the other. Get those guys there. We're going Devin Neal from Kansas as a running back. I think he fits the 49ers and what they do. So we have been rolling up the picks here. Miles Frazier's there. We got to go offensive line. We haven't picked offensive line yet. So Miles Frazier's there. You go get him. I saw Jeffrey Bossa there, and he's my guy. You guys know Jeffrey Bossa is my guy. And so got to pick, but had to address the offensive line. Got to get it. We got to go get a corner now. Got to figure out who that third corner is going to be. It's going to be a little slim pickings here at 227. So we'll see what's available. Let's grab corners. I picked him last time. Let's get him again. Jordan Hancock from Ohio State. If you're looking, that third corner, he'll have to compete definitely, and has a ways to go, but you gotta fill that spot in there. Now we're really looking at, special teamers, guys with big upside. I think because he's versatile, he can play inside, outside. I'm going to get Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins because he can play both defensive tackle and defensive end, and his athletic measurables are really, really high. I think he's just scratching the surface on who he can be. So, I'm going to get Benjamin Urasek from Georgia. He was a good blocking tight end, so that makes a lot of sense there. So, here's Derek Harmon going at 11. This is forcing defensive tackle. So there we go. For me, I'm not as in love with this draft. For me, it's one of the first two. If you can get Membu, you get Membu, because the rest of the draft will fall out in a great order. If you can get go edge in the first draft or first pick, I think that makes a ton of sense. There's a lot of things you can do. I'm not as big of a fan of grabbing defensive tackle at 11, but they could. I mean, you can go either way, and I think it'll work out really well. So give us in the chat 1, 2, 3, 4 which draft you liked best. I'll see if I can pull some of these back up real quick and show them to everybody. Just give me a second to kind of put them all together.
So I will give the reminder to make sure you hit the notification bell. Johnny has a lot of different stuff coming up this week as we are full bore into draft week. He'll go over the schedule. I'll get that in a second. But reminder, hit the notification bell. Show anyone wearing Niners gear. Also, if you are watching the NBA playoffs, check out today's episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Every Monday and Thursday, a fresh new episode of Sports Idiot Nation. And yeah, Strawberry React says, I like bits and pieces of every draft. That's, again, we've talked about this, that with 11 picks and 900,000 million good players, it's just, there's going to be some things that we truly love about the draft, I think, on by Saturday, that no matter what happens, all of us will be able to take something away and say, okay, I liked these 2 picks a ton. These 3 picks, okay, I'm kind of excited to see what can happen. And everyone's going to say there is a couple picks that we're like, well, we're not sure, but hey, we in Lynch we trust, kind of thing. So, Johnny, can you give us the breakdown again of your schedule this week?
Yeah, so tomorrow night, hopefully, we still has yet to be fully confirmed, but we're going to be trying to do a 32 content creator mock draft where you will get, I love them because it's not just a computer based on rankings that is trying to figure out what team is going to pick what. It's people who are invested in their teams, who do what we do here and are really following along and saying, okay, this is where if I was to be able to step into the role of my organization, this is who I would pick. And so we're probably going to do that Thursday, going live with one Rob Stats Career. We're starting a weekly show that we're going to be doing a little bit together there with that. So that's starting this Thursday. We're going to be going live through the first round of the draft Thursday night. And then we're going to try and come back here on Friday morning, react to that first round, and then kind of project, because the biggest question from who do they pick at 11 will be answered. And so then as we see that, we can see how the rest of the draft falls out. So here's the Armand Membou. This is the Membou draft, so you can get a view of that real quick. I really like this draft of Membou, Tyleik Williams, Jack Beck, Deion Walker, David Walker, Aeneas Peebles. I love Walker and Aeneas Peebles. I think those are 2 home run hits in the middle rounds. Jackson Slater, I absolutely love Jackson Slater. You get Trevor Etienne, Teddy Buchanan, Jalen Conyers, and then finish it up with Warren Brinson there as your run plugging defensive tackle. So I think that makes a ton of sense. That's one that can really happen. So that is the Membou draft again for those who needed a refresher on that. Here we're going to pull up the Jalen Walker pick. So here we go. Here's Jalen Walker, the Jalen Walker draft. I love this draft. You get Jalen Walker, Josh Connerly. I think that would be a huge pickup there at tackle that can compete with one Colton McKivitz. TJ Sanders, I think, is a defensive tackle with a lot of upside and a very good player that you can plug in. Kyle Williams, one of the most explosive receivers in the draft. We know that you like to spend some good draft capital on skill position players. Jamari Caldwell, a defensive tackle I have been so high on. I would just go bananas if we get Jamari Caldwell. I think he's an absolute gem in this draft that is capable of so much. Savion Jones, now bookends, that rotation. You get 3 now defensive ends that can rotate and bring pass rush and bring edge setting there. Jeffrey Bossa, super explosive, fast, run down linebacker. So again, I posted on my X, Amika Egbuka, who is a wide receiver from Ohio State. A lot of people are talking about him as a late first round wide receiver. When Oregon played Ohio State, I watched him on a wide receiver reverse run down Amika from the linebacker position to the sideline. He is a sideline to sideline pursuit linebacker. Super impressive. Devin Neal bolsters your running back core. You bring in another linebacker, another super athletic linebacker, Ahmed Hassanin, who is somebody with just insane athletic potential that has just not been tapped yet. So there's the Walker draft. One that, either one of those, man, I am just over the moon about what the 49ers were able to bring in. And then here's the Tyler Warren draft, where you get Tyler Warren, James Pierce, Joshua Farmer, Omar Norman Lott, Miles Frazier, Danny Stutzman, Kobe Bryant, David Walker, Willie Lampkin. My Lord, that is a draft. That is a haul.
Yeah,
like every one of those guys is for me, you are a starter on this team. Like that is a phenomenal draft. And then you get some reserves there with Taj Brooks and Jordan Hancock for some special teams value and depth value. So, I mean, my goodness, that would be an absolute haul of a draft. I don't think James Pierce is going to be there at 43, but if you were able to get this one, man, that is an absolute haul there as a draft. And then I think my least favorite one is the Derek Harmon draft, is going defensive tackle early, where you get Harmon and then Carson. Now that may be on me for picking Schwessinger in the second round. I just think that you have to think about it, that you've spent a huge draft capital on that interior defensive tackle position. Now you need a linebacker to play behind them to really let that shine, that you can't have somebody doing that and then a linebacker who can't come clean that up, next to Fred Warner. So that's why I went there. Jalen Knoll, very super explosive wide receiver. He reminds me of Jacob Cowan with better route running and a little bit more of an explosive first step. That's who Jalen Knoll reminds me of. Omar Norman Lott there, Kyle Kennard, Jared Ivey, Devin Neal, Miles Frazier, then Jordan Hancock and the interior Ingram Dawkins. I mean, I still really like this draft. Like there isn't a draft in here that I go, nah, I'm not happy.
Right.
I
like
think
it wasn't a swing and miss.
Any of these drafts change the 49ers, and the 49ers, for me, when you look at this, we are a playoff team again. Like that's what I really like here. So I don't think they're going to find a trade partner to come back. I really don't. But as we've seen, they can stay at 11, go in one of 4 different directions, and this team is much better at the end of this draft. There are players, and we didn't sit there and pick the same guys in rounds 2 through 5 every time. We went different directions, and you can see that every time there's quality players that are there. This draft is very, very deep in quality players. We've said it starting at the Senior Bowl, and through this entire process, it has just been reinforced of how deep this draft is in quality prospects that can come in and probably be day 1 or even, week 3 of training camp starters. So you can see, again, why the 49ers were okay with letting talent walk out the door. I don't think that this was that they let all this talent go out the door just because. I think they were looking at this draft. They said that we can get the same sort of production out of probably 15 different guys, like a defensive tackle. There's like 12, 13, 14 guys in this draft. We can get the same production we were getting from Malik Collins. And so we're okay with letting him go. That they looked at this draft and they said, there's 15, 20 different guys that can give us the same production that we got from Leonard Floyd last year. So we're okay with letting him go. That's how I think they're looking at this draft. And I think, Aaron Banks, I think they're looking at it and saying there's like 10, 12 different interior offensive linemen that we can get, and we will get the same production as Aaron Banks. So I think that's why they were so willing to let these guys go out the door this year, because of this draft. And it was this year. It wasn't just they were just letting everybody go. I think all those things, it all matched up. And if you can swing any one of these drafts, you have set the 49ers Super Bowl window back open for the next 3 to 4 years. So, people talk about the window closing. This draft can bust that door wide open because of the draft you had last year and then what you can have this year. So I say I'm so excited for this draft week. I've never been as excited as for the draft as I am this year.
So many good picks out there that no matter how we roll, it's going to be a positive at the end of the day. So yes, we are excited. Again, check out Sports Idiot Nation every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell for all the things that Johnny's up to this week. Of course, catch us hopefully regular time on Friday as well. I'm going to be texting you, I'm sure, on Thursday and Friday for sure, on like, oh, we got this is the guy we talked about. Or I mean, imagine if we get like Membu, or it's like, oh man, because we'll immediately be looking at some of the film and like all this, which is what they do a good job on draft coverage. All the ESPN and NFL Network, they show that, but some of that film might be,
they show you like 6 clips, or 4 or 5 clips, which look, and the Stump the Truck is one of my favorites, like that they can pull up guys from like Abilene Christian, the second tight end from Abilene Christian, and they have a splash reel for that kid. Like, that's amazing to me that they've gone through and done all that in this. But we're actually we're gonna really, like, the night of the draft, like that next morning, I'm going to be waking up like 6:30 in the morning and putting on the tape of whoever we picked at that point, if I don't already have their clips. So that's the thing.
So, man, exciting week. Biggest, like you said, the biggest week of the off season. We are highly stoked. Man, yeah, I'll be texting you, man, I'm sure. And we'll see you Friday, and at least I will. And be sure to catch Johnny at the 19 things this week that he's doing. And so, in the meantime, in between time, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, go Niners.